My name is Leslie Stahl, and this is 60 Minutes. The story of Kennewick Man started out as an ordinary murder mystery. During the summer of 1996, two college students were exploring on the riverbanks of the Columbia River in Kennewick, Washington, and came across a human skull. The local authorities thought they had a murder mystery on their hands, and they called in Dr. James Chatters, local forensic anthropologist, to investigate. Good evening, Dr. Chatters. Thank you for being with us.
Hi, Leslie. How are you doing?
So, Dr. Chatters, tell me about your initial investigation of the skeleton.
Well, I was called over to Kennewick, Washington by the Columbia River, and my first thought was the skeleton was an early 19th century settler, and I took 10 trips to the site of where we discovered him, and we even collected over 350 bone fragments, which adds up to about 70% of the skeleton.
So, tell me what makes Kennewick Man so special.
Well, first of all, he's one of the most complete ancient skeletons ever found in the United States history. When we were looking at the skeleton, because we took as much of the bones that we can back to my lab, and we were looking at the hip bone, and it turns out there's a spear tip in this bone. So we carbon dated the bone, and it turns out that Kennewick Man is over 9,000 years old. Kennewick Man was about 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighed in between 154 pounds to 165 pounds, had a very long face, and died at middle age. He had multiple injuries. He had a terrible gash in his head, he fractured his shoulder bone, and he even had a spear point stuck into his hip, which must have been very painful. So life for him was probably pretty tough.
This hastily made video is the last Dr. Chatters sees of his remarkable discovery. Just 4 days after the radiocarbon date, the skeleton is confiscated by the American government, and all scientific research stopped. A group of Native American tribes claimed the 9,000-year-old skeleton as their ancestor.
The Indians wanted Kennewick Man so they could rebury him because this is their ancestor, and we're tearing up their beliefs by just digging him up and studying him without proper permission. And the scientists want Kennewick Man so they could study him and learn more about him that we didn't know before. It turns out that the court ruled that the scientists will have possession over Kennewick Man, but the Indians still greatly want him to rebury him. So in a year, they'll go to court again and try to win over the court. And
Interesting. How long was this legal battle?
the legal battle lasted 9 years.
So, what impact did Kennewick Man have on Washington state history?
First, it impacted culture because Indians believed that Kennewick Man was Native American, but his facial features and more recent DNA evidence prove Kennewick Man is not genetically related to any American Indian tribe at all, which throws long-held beliefs about the peopling of Americas on its head. Second, it impacted geography. The reason for this is because the discovery of Kennewick Man and the fact that he's not Native American challenges the theory of where people came from and how they got there. We think the earliest people came from Asia, possibly during the last ice age, more than 11,000 years ago. But we still don't really know for sure. There could be many different populations that migrated from different routes and geographies. The evidence suggests that some of the earliest people arrived in America through what is now Washington State.
For now, Kennewick Man remains in secure preservation at the Burke Museum in Seattle, Washington. The scientists have been able to visit the museum 3 times to conduct scientific research, and some of the Indian tribes have been allowed to visit to conduct spiritual ceremonies. Dr. Chatters, thank you for being our guest on 60 Minutes.
Thank you for having me.